Oh, sorry, I did. Councilmember Kinston? I'm waiting for you vote. All right. Motion passes. Thank you. Oh, I think you hit my button. Okay. Okay, everybody, I got it. That was smart, sorry. Councilmember Kinston, your vote. All right, we ready? All right, that passes 5-4.
Is there light off?
I'm in the mayor's seat, so mine is not showing, so mine is showing where the
English
mayor's.
light went off.
I don't know. You know what? It must have gone. It's showing right here.
Green.
Yeah, I can take a picture here if you need me to.
We got it, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if you'll.
All right, we're going to take.
3 minutes.
Motion to adjourn dinner meeting.
Dinner meeting, yes.
We'll be back in 3 minutes. Good evening. I'm going to call the June 14th, 2021 City Council meeting to order. This is our first night that we are open to the public. I think that we have so many people here. So with that being said, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And who do we have? Do we have someone doing the invocation? City Manager?
Mr. Akeem is here.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Pastor King, please come up. And before you start, can you tell us the name of your church? And then I'll give you some time after we pray.
Good evening.
Please rise, everyone.
Good evening. I am Akeem Lee. I'm the pastor of Blessed Family of God Church here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Will you bow your heads as I pray? Dear wise and loving one, first let me pause to simply say thank you on behalf of everyone that's gathered here today. Thank you for the many abundant blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for this thing called life that we often take for granted. Thank you for the measures of our health that we need to fulfill our callings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Bless the agenda on this evening, that it be for the common good. Grant that our mayor, various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council, to have ears that are open to listen to the people they serve, as well as the wisdom to act for justice. Give confidence in what is good and fitting for this city amid conflicting interests and issues of our time. Provide the ability to work together in unity, even when there is honest disagreement. Allow peace in their personal lives and give them joy in their tasks, even the challenging ones. Again, we say thank you in advance for what you're going to do. It is your most blessed name that we pray and believe. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Lee. Can you tell us a little bit about your ministry and let everybody in Fayetteville know a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Greetings again to the mayor, the members of the city council, and the various levels of city officials. And as we say in our church, to everyone in their prospective places. I am Akeem Lee. I'm the pastor of Blessed Family of God Church here in the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Blessed Family of God Church is an affirming, progressive, 501c3 nonprofit religious organization for all people. We are an inclusive church that believes everyone has the right to worship regardless of race, gender, sexuality, or background. We are a safe place for the LGBTQ plus community and stand firm in our beliefs that God loves us all and we are free to worship in spirit and our truth. As with several religious organizations, the pandemic has shifted how we conduct our in-person worship. So for now, we have in-person services on the first and fourth Sundays at 2007 Ramsey Street here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and our service starts at 11 o'clock a.m. We also have our virtual worship services on the second and fourth Sundays, and we are looking to resume our regular worship in person soon. We will be supporting the Fayetteville Pride events during the month of June, and also look forward to working with the city of Fayetteville in the near future as a resource to and for the LGBTQ plus community. Please follow us on social media at our social media on Facebook is BFOGC, which is Blessed Family of God Church twice, for updates on our services. Again, I'm deeply humbled and appreciative for the opportunity to share about Blessed Family of God Church. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So next, do we have Mr. Bullard? Mr. Scott Bullard is going to come up and give us a COVID update. Thank you for all your hard work that you've been doing. I'm sure you're going to tell us what day we're in.
That I will.
Awesome.
This is the 456th day of our state of emergency. And to the pastor's point that was just up here, we have a lot of blessings to be thankful for. We have a strong healthcare system that has made our area come through better than a lot of areas have fared. However, one thing that troubles my office at this hour is we're still scratching our heads at how we can almost be approximately half of what our metro peers are in terms of vaccinations. And the reason vaccinations are critically important to us as we go down the road now in hurricane season, the vaccinations would help us manage the whole mass care, mass feeding, and care of the population piece that was such a struggle for us last year. And what I mean by that, our shelter footprints and capacities had to shrink because of social distancing. If we had our population vaccinated up to whatever metric you want to use, whether it's the governor's 66 2/3% or President Biden's 70%, it would give us a level of herd immunity protection so that if a bad storm does strike us, at least we can better manage those populations. So at this hour, we're asking, please don't hesitate. If you're still considering the vaccinations, to do it. I know the governor has put some incentives in motion where there will be drawings for scholarships and cash prizes and so forth, and I would hope that people would do it just out of the care for their loved ones and their peers and family and friends, because it is that important. We cautiously watch these variants that around the world are wreaking havoc. We don't want that to happen here. So again, I can't say it enough, vaccinate.
All right, do I have any questions from anyone? So, okay, Councilmember Wright?
So you said that there's half of what other cities in North Carolina has achieved based on these vaccinations. We're under half.
Well, among our metropolitan peers, and I'm talking the Charlottes, Raleighs, Greensboros, and places like that, they're hovering with that first shot up in the 50% range.
Okay.
And my notes here say our partial vaccinations for Cumberland are at 27%, so roughly half of where that lies.
And so you're equating that to what? Why we're not getting shots?
I've heard explanations from Dr. Zappa from the health system and from Dr. Green on the public health side of it. One piece of that puzzle they indicate are Fort Bragg numbers, but I think nationwide there's still more than a third of our population at large that's just reluctant for whatever the reasons might be.
So based upon those numbers, what would you say maybe 1 out of 10 citizens, 1 out of 5 citizens have been vaccinated in Cumberland County?
Yeah, we're kind of leaning almost to 3 out of 10. We're just not quite there yet, where the target was somewhere in the range of almost 7 out of 10.
Okay.
That's where we want to go.
So based upon those projections, what suggestions that you might have for citizens? And I know you said get shots, but what are some ideas that we could use to help bring those numbers up and to dismantle the myth of the vaccines that they're bad? Can you give us some facts about that?
If it were up to me, I would probably like to have Dr. Sammy Choi from the military side back up here, because he did such a good job presenting kind of the myth-busting piece of the puzzle. I'm presumably factoring in maybe more education, more advertisement, but we're kind of at the point now where your neighborhood providers are starting to get vaccine, the drugstores have them, so it's not an access problem. It's just a basic individual decision that's got to be made. And I would say if you wouldn't do it for yourself, do it for the ones you love, particularly if you have somebody who's susceptible or medically fragile or older or what have you.
So the final question is based on the numbers of people that's coming up positive for the COVID-19. How are those numbers looking, and how do we look as far as the hospitalization of those that have come up positive?
Well, I think Dr. Zappa said on Friday, if my memory serves me, that they're dealing with 20 or so beds full in the hospital, which is down considerably from the nearly 150 they had back in January. I think the misnomer, again, is with testing decreasing. you're not looking as hard as you once were for it, even though Cumberland County is about 5.2% positive of all the cases tested, but yet North Carolina, my notes tell me, is at 2.4%, so half of where we are here in the city. The other piece of this puzzle that we're kind of holding our breath, if you saw the paper this morning, Houston Methodist Hospital, arguably, 26,000 people, very large staffed hospital, is looking at some punitive measures for those employees that did not take the vaccine, and we're wondering what that picture is going to look like nationwide, because some employers are looking into that, and we don't want to see that happen. We don't want to see anything that is a deterrent to someone taking the vaccine for their own health.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Waddell?
Thank you, Ms. Pro Tem. Actually, Councilmember Wright asked my question. I wanted to know what our percent positive was right now and where we were standing in relation to where we might have been about a month ago, given the changes in the mandates from the governor.
Well, we're improving. We've been steadily kind of trickling down from the 8% range, 6s, and now we've broken into the 5, even though we haven't broken that 5% barrier. But there again, I think the telling part will be the percentage of first round shots or first vaccination, if we can just get that out and get that number up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bullard. You made a very valid point and something that I've never thought of. So for the past, 6 years, maybe 5 years, we had Hurricane Matthew, and then we had Hurricane Florence. And I know how hard it was for everybody to get people that were left homeless due to flooding. So I guess for the vaccination, that is going to be something that's going to put everything a little bit sideways if people are not vaccinated, and it's something that we probably need to think about and bring out to the public, because I know how hard it was before COVID to navigate to get everybody where they needed to be. So I can only imagine that's just another plus of why we need to maybe get vaccinated. But thank you for all your information, and we look forward to hearing from you next month, and the numbers keep going down. Thank you. So I am going to go to Councilmember Hare for announcements.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This first one I'm very excited about. I continue to thank my fellow council members for their support, and I know that the private business owners do, that we will be having, we will be having a grand opening for the 876 Fayetteville food truck, Jamaican food truck business this weekend. It's going to be at 6243 Yakin Road, Suite 103. And many of you remember we had a lot of discussion about food trucks and supporting them, so that I'm very much looking forward to a better opportunity for food trucks and supporting our local business people. Our annual Retired Signal Soldiers Association of Fort Bragg will be having their fish fry scholarship. That's going to be this Friday, the 18th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And this year, once again, they will be over at the Advance Auto Parts at 4132 Rayford Road. It's just a very, very good fish fry and opportunity to give back, and scholarship program. Right now, today, or let's just say starting tomorrow, because they're probably closed today, you can start doing your pre-orders. That number is 919-247-7716, and that's for our Retired Signal Soldiers Association with Fort Bragg. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilmember Hare. Councilmember Ingram?
Yes, thank you. So the first quick announcement I have is this week is National Waste and Recycling Workers Week, And as we had just Mr. Scott Bullard come up and talk about COVID, I think about all of what our solid waste workers have to deal with in terms of disposing our waste. And so when your trash rolls around, I hope if you get this, say hey to your solid waste worker, you know, make sure you thank them. It is the 13th through the 19th this week. We're celebrating them. And employees in the solid waste and recycling industry, I think they deserve a special thank you. The second a quick announcement is, I think about a week or a half ago, Fayetteville, Cumberland released the RAP program, which is Emergency Rental Assistance. And I wanted to just make an announcement of that because quite frankly, we know that mandates have begun to be lifted, and you know, a lot of us, we're starting to see a lot of move outs and where residents, stuff are being sit out on curbs. And so if you are in need of assistance, you can use the money to pay past due rent payments up to 12 months, up to 3 months forward rent payments, and past due utility payments up to 12 months allowable include internet, electric, gas, water and sewer, trash removal, and energy costs such as fuel oil. The number you can call is 1-888-495-7710. Landlords may begin to go ahead and request applications and also invite the tenants to do applications as well, but assistance is there if you need it. This is a partnership between Fayetteville and Cumberland County. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ingram. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to make an announcement that today was the Army's 246th birthday. So happy birthday. Also, I see Chief Hill back there. I told Fire Station 15 that I would wear, they told me to wear this hat today. I just want to thank them for allowing my Girl Scout troop to come by. They gave an awesome tour. My girls were able to drop some goodies off to them, and they did a awesome job. So I just wanted to thank them for that, and thank you for your great leadership. And then also, Councilwoman Kingston, I don't know if you were going to mention, but I'll let you talk about the CERT summer camp.
Thank you. So part of the North Carolina Volunteer and Community Service, we have what's called a CERT program, which allows teams to go to the fire department and also partner with the police department to learn emergency services and also learn the skills to be able to volunteer in the community. They had a full week here in the city of Fayetteville. We had approximately 26 teenagers to participate. They had a wonderful time, and again, we look forward to doing this again. This was the first time that it's been ran in a full scale here in Fayetteville, and as a commissioner for the North Carolina Volunteer and Community Service, it was a pleasure to bring that to Fayetteville. So thank you.
Thank you. So I think we are good with the announcements. So now I am going to ask Mr. Sam DeBose, I hope I said that last name right, to meet me at the podium for our reading of the proclamation that Councilmember Ingram is going to read, and then meet us at the end.
And I think one of our guests is going to join you at the podium as well. And the proclamation reads, whereas the United States was founded on the ideas of equality, inclusion, and respect for all, but the realization of the ideals has been long delayed and often only obtained after years, decades, or centuries of struggle, culminating in civil rights legislation or rulings, including lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer or questioning. Americans, and whereas the month of June marks the anniversary of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising, wherein LGBTQ citizens of our variety ages and racial and ethnic backgrounds, many very poor, rose up against oppressive laws and policing tactics that have been since found to be unconstitutional. And whereas the Stonewall Uprising is widely considered the beginnings of the modern LGBTQ plus civil rights movement and the LGBTQ pride pride celebrations have occurred in June all around the country every year since then. Whereas June is nationally recognized as Pride Month, and whereas Fayetteville has a diverse LGBTQ plus population with a rich and varied history that includes people of all ethnicities, languages, religions, and professions. And whereas everyone should be able to live a life free from fear, hatred, or discrimination, whether it be based on race, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, national origin, or veteran status. And whereas the achievements of the LGBTQ plus community will be celebrated in Fayetteville at Fayetteville Pride's Community Picnic on Saturday, June 24th, 2021. And now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby honorably proclaim June 24th, 2021 to be in honor of Fayetteville Pride Fest. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Fayetteville to be affixed this day, 1st June 2021.
Shaquila, did you get the paper? I'm sorry. Did you get it? Okay.
Just want to thank council and thank the mayor for issuing this proclamation. And a special thanks to our District 2 council member who has time and again been there with sleeves rolled up, ready to work and support our community. And that means a lot to us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just piggybacking on what Sam said, main thing for us today, this just shows, and this is for the LGBTQ plus youth, this is for our elderly, this is for all of us that are here, this is for our neighbors, our friends, and our family. And this is what community is about. This is what tells us right here that we belong. So we thank you.
Thank you. And while they transition, I want to note that I want to thank the Fayetteville Pride community members for being here, and also thank members of Free Mom Hugs for traveling 3+ hours to get here and be here today to celebrate this with us. Thank you.
All right, so next we have the members of the Juneteenth celebration. We have Ms. Kia Anthony and Ms. Kia McMillan, the K-Square. There's three of us, three Ks.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Ingram? Councilmember Ingram?
Thank you. And the proclamation reads, whereas Juneteenth is the oldest celebration in the emancipation of African American slaves and is so named for the June 19th, 1866 adoption of Black Independence Day in Galveston, Texas. And whereas Juneteenth celebrates America's commitment to liberty and equality in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, along with the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Lincoln on January 1, 1863, and the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery, ratified by the Congress on December 6, 1865. And whereas the U.S. Census discloses the population of North Carolina in 1860 was 992,622, of which 331,059 were enslaved, including about 1,500 slaves living in Fayetteville, North Carolina, of the 4,800 residents. And whereas the history of African Americans is a study in resilience for the plight and slavery in our history, and today, for the over 45 million people in forced labor, child labor, and other forms of human trafficking, and whereas Juneteenth provides a historic opportunity for all Americans to learn about and recall achievements of our enslaved ancestors, and to reflect on the completed cycle of freedom for all colors, creeds, cultures, religions, and countries of origin. And whereas the 156th anniversary of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation will be celebrated in Fayetteville at circa 1865's inaugural Juneteenth Freedom Festival on Saturday, June 15th, 2021. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and on behalf of the City of Fayetteville and City Council, do hereby honorably proclaim the 19th of June in the year 2021 to be a special day in honor of this celebration of Juneteenth Freedom Festival, in witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the great seal of the City of Fayetteville to be affixed this 8th day of June 2021.
Thank you, Councilmember Ingram, and we will wait for you to come on up and take a picture.
Again, thank you so much for this recognition. This isn't our inaugural, it is our third year, and I just want to make sure that we are thanking you properly, because you guys initiated this for us. This has been an amazing journey to see how in 2018 it was really hard to find a Juneteenth event in Cumberland County, to now Juneteenth events are everywhere. There are several events popping up all over. Even now, Spring Lake just tonight just passed a resolution to make Juneteenth a town holiday. So we are moving forward. Our entire goal is to make sure that Juneteenth is celebrated properly in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of love, and togetherness. We are all Americans, and that's what this holiday represents. It represents the first time that America actually acknowledged all of its citizens rightfully. So I am super excited to be a part of this, and I thank you again for this proclamation.
And I just wanted to say thank you to all the council members who have always been there when we've had our events, to come to our events, to be a part of our events, to help with the things that we do in the community. We truly thank you. She said everything else. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone, for everything that you're doing for our city. So with that being said, we are going to go, and we have the city manager's report. You're good? Okay. So we are going to go to, we'll give y'all, we'll give it about 2 or 3 minutes if everybody would like to go or readjust. All right, so could I get a motion for the approval of the agenda? Okay, I've got, you got beat by Councilmember Davis and Councilmember Dawkins. So, all right, can I get everybody to vote, please? All right. That is unanimous for those that are present. Thank you. All right, now we need to get a motion for the consent agenda. Whoa, okay. So the first two that I saw, I'm gonna say Kinston and Waddell. So.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Actually, I have a amendment that I would like to make to the agenda.
Okay.
So for under 4.5, employer of choice, the amendment that I'm asking for is going to be on May 20th, 2021.
Wait a minute, Councilmember Kinston. I'm not sure we're there yet.
It's under consent.
It's under consent.
Yes.
Okay. So a modification to the minutes, on what date did you say?
It's going to be for May 20th, 21, section 4.5, employer of choice. What I would like for the record to reflect is the question about adding the additional personal day in the notes
So,
under the presentation from our Human Resources Development.
okay, so on our agenda that we have right here, it says, you're saying May 20th?
May 20th, 2021, the presentation was done 7.01.
Okay, and I apologize, I'm looking at my,
If you look at, it's not on there. It's going to be in the.
that's what I was asking, that's
It is. It's on there.
where?
It's not on this one.
No, it's not on there. It's
Yeah.
not on there.
Okay, thought I was, my thing is not working.
My second statement.
Okay, your second is for that? Okay, any discussion? Well, we need to pull it, right? You want to pull it? Why don't we pull it and then get, so we can talk about it?
It's to approve the consent agenda and adding the modification to add that note. So it doesn't need to.
If I may, Mayor Pro Tem,
Sure.
what she's requesting is that we approve the consent agenda and amend item 7.01 for the May 20th meetings to include the verbiage of under employer of choice as she stated. So it's no need for the up, down unless there's some disagreement in that should be included. But it was discussed at that meeting. It just was not included in the minutes.
I agree, and I understand what you're saying. I think there were some questions on this side of the diocese. That's why I said, did we want to just pull it and discuss it? But either way is fine with me. So I have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda with that one modification. And I have a second. Do I have any discussion? All right, let's have a vote. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, it's not showing on mine. Okay. And you're showing what you're showing them. Yeah. So Councilmember Ingram?
Rain.
We thank Councilmember Ingram's light blue when we were in. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. So we are at the public forum 8.0. This is the time that any Fayetteville resident may have input and a voice in what goes on in their city. Due to policy restrictions, the forum will not last longer than 30 minutes for each speaker, will be limited to only 3 minutes to address the City Council on issues related to the City of Fayetteville. Individuals wishing to speak at tonight's public forum should have signed up with the City Clerk prior to the start of tonight's meeting. If you are here to speak on items that may be on tonight's agenda under the public hearing, we ask that you reserve your comments until the public hearing. So when your name is called by the city clerk, we ask that you, is everybody on Zoom, City Manager? I'm assuming. Okay. We ask that you clearly state your name and home address for the record. Then you will see the light located on the podium change from green to yellow, and when you have 30 seconds left to speak. When you see the red light come on, your time is expired. Again, due to policy restrictions, we are not able to give extended time. So with that being said, I will go to Ms. McGill.
Yes, our first speaker is Mr. Darden Jenkins. He's not on the line. Okay, our next speaker is Miss Cynthia Wilson. Miss Wilson, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Cynthia Gibbs Wilson, 228 Summertime Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, city attorney. Thank you for this opportunity to say a few words on behalf of Pathways for Prosperity, P4P, and our mutual deep commitment to affordable housing. A magic wand. It's as if you, as policymakers, have been given a magic wand to address broad challenges faced by your constituents. I'm referring to the $38 million in American Rescue Funds, ARP funds, coming to Fayetteville. Council members, you have a once-in-a-century opportunity to develop solutions that reach beyond the constraints of the general fund. ARP funding allows for boldness in tackling issues. I advocate applying that boldness to thinking for dramatic increases in funds for affordable housing. Affordable housing dollars yield a return on investment. Dollars that you allocate to affordable housing are like pebbles in a pond. They have a ripple effect throughout the Fayetteville economy. Through gap funding, these dollars attract the attention of developers. The private developers who hires locally expands opportunities for residents. Employment opportunities yield residents who can spend locally, creating a strong environment for our city's businesses. Maximum benefits of affordable housing, of course, go to the residents who currently pay more than 50% of their income for housing. Workers who earn $12, $14 to $20 per hour. Cost burden. As housing becomes affordable, families move up the economic ladder. You have the power to create the tools to make it happen. The Council of Government Analysis shows 40,000 new units are needed. To achieve 40,000 units in 5 years, we need annual production to be 5 times the current rate of 1,500 units. Building a strong affordable housing seed fund creates bold strides in achieving results. ARP funding gives you the power to establish a multi-million-dollar seed fund, a fund that will provide continuous return on investment. I urge you to take this once-in-a-century opportunity to exercise bold thinking in applying ARP funds to the Affordable Housing Seed Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Our next speaker is Mr. Adam Savolto. Not available. Our next speaker is Ms. Cerise Collins. Ms. Cerise?
Good evening.
Yes, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Cerise Collins. My address is 3866 Parkway Vista Road in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Thank you.
I come tonight on behalf of Communities and Schools of North Carolina in Cumberland County. Communities and Schools of North Carolina in Cumberland County partner with Cumberland County Schools to place student support specialists in schools to work with students and parents to surround them with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and to achieve in life. The families who participate in our programs are referred by school personnel and are challenged in one or more of these four primary areas: academics, behavior, coursework, and parental engagement. Research has shown us that if students struggling in any of these areas without providing them with additional support have the potential of dropping out of school. CISNC of Cumberland County is a collaborative partner with Pathways for Prosperity because many of the marginalized students that fall in the categories mentioned are also students impacted by poverty. I want to thank the City Council for recognizing the plight of students on the Murchison Road corridor and stepping up to support Pathways to Prosperity by providing funding to place a student support specialist at Luther Nick Gerald's Middle School for the 2021-2022 school year. We currently have 3 additional student support specialists serving as with our parent university coordinator, whose specific purpose is to work with parents in 5 elementary schools to provide workshops and resources to help them not only help their children in school, but also help themselves navigate the systems within the community. We realize that in order to help lift students in higher levels of success, parents and guardians also must be involved. So as we're beginning to re-engage after the pandemic, many students in underserved communities have been affected at disproportionately higher rates than other students. Nationally and statewide, Communities and Schools model of providing integrated student supports is proving to be an excellent avenue to support students and families. We know that we will be experiencing some learning gaps with students, but we also know that there will be a need to offer intentional emphasis on re-engagement of students, social emotional learning, mental health, and social capital, all areas that have been outlined in the American Rescue Plan relief funds and all areas that our student support specialists work in. So therefore, this request is as a part of the overall proposal from Pathways to Prosperity to invest in children and families by providing funding to place 10 to 12 student support specialists in high-need schools in Fayetteville to work in conjunction with Parent University Coordinator over the next 3 years, not only to empower students, but also parents through case management, connecting resources, and supporting students on this journey.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Right at the buzzer. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Robert Walls. Mr. Walls?
Hello?
Yes, sir. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Robert Walls, 1436 Blanchard Drive.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, fellow Americans, it's important to address the hypocrisy within the policies of this current administration, the identity politics that are continually used. You've mentioned June 19th, which you should, because all Americans, especially our fellow Black Americans, should be recognized for the struggles and sacrifices they have made. You didn't mention April 19th, Patriots Day. On that day, not a word from the city. You didn't mention anything about June being PTSD Awareness Month, where my fellow brothers and sisters are still struggling this day, defending you and your rights. The hypocrisy of this city needs to be held accountable. Your social slogans of choice, Black lives do matter, and they do, because all American lives matter. When American lives don't matter, it's because pathetic politicians Don't enforce one standard for all Americans. Your social slogan of choice around your social circle of choice doesn't change. For reference, in the first quarter of 2021, Asian hate crimes have increased 169%. Yet I don't see Asian lives do matter written around your social circle of choice. That's because your policies are for some of the people, not all of the people. As a veteran in the city, it makes it extremely difficult to look at this as an all-American city. It's Chicago politics wrapped in an American flag, and it needs to change. To my brothers and sisters that have defended this nation, especially this month, you're not forgotten. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Walls.
Our next speaker is Ms. Harmony Sell. Not available. Okay. Our next speaker is Miss Mary Berry. Not available. Our next speaker is Mr. Ron Gunter. Mr. Gunter?
Hello, my name is Ron Gunter. I reside at 1790 Potomac Road. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council, Mr. City Manager, thank you for allowing me to address this body tonight. I am the CEO of the Fayetteville Area Habitat for Humanity, and we are extremely grateful for the partnership with the City of Fayetteville. Currently, we have completed 32 of the 47 homes at Oak Ridge Estates. We currently have 2 more homes that will close by the end of the month, and an additional 5 homes under construction. And barring any unforeseen circumstances, we plan to complete the project by the end of the year. We are to date where we are would not have happened without this partnership with the City of Fayetteville. All of this has happened in 23 months only because we have worked together to make it happen. Tonight, I would like to ask the council to consider 2 actions as you move forward with the American Rescue Funds, the plan where it is projected that $38 million will come to the City of Fayetteville. One would be to establish a housing trust fund in the amount of $10 million that would help to address and provide resources for gap financing for affordable housing, for incentives for income and diverse projects, for first-time home buyer programs, to improve housing quality and support wealth building. And these are all initiatives that are critically needed in our community. And then second, I would ask the City Council to consider providing additional funding for the tenant-based local rent supplement program that's currently in development for low-income families, and to prioritize those funds for families that are below 50% of the area median income. We have so much that we can do together. And in that, I would ask that the council would consider putting aside $11.5 million for that fund, and that the county would match that to provide a fund of around $23 million that would help to provide rent supplements to approximately 1/3 of Fayetteville's 9,000 plus very low income homes. The supplements will increase financial stability for many households, and it will free dollars for circulation in the local economy. If we partner together, P4P is made up of multiple nonprofits in this community. We want to work together to address the needs of our community and make this a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gunner.
Pro Tem, Mr. Adam Civolto is now on the line. Mr. Civolto, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, if you would please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Yes, Adam Civolto. My address is 5812 Edgebury Road, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and staff, good evening. Again, my name is Adam Civolto. I'm with the North Carolina Justice Center, appearing though today as part of the Pathways of Prosperity Coalition And as some of my colleagues have shared, we're a coalition of nonprofit organizations, agencies, and entities working to interrupt the cycle of intergenerational poverty in the region. I'd like to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to speak, and also by thanking the city staff for the tremendous work they've done to meet the challenges presented by COVID-19. In particular, I'd like to express our appreciation for the efforts of the Economic and Community Development Department in standing up its $10 million emergency rental assistance program in partnership with the county. I'd like to also acknowledge the attention that the city has paid generally to the disparate impacts of COVID-19 on individuals and families with low incomes. In the spirit of partnership, I'm joining you today, along with others, to ask you to consider carefully the recommendations we shared in our April 7 letter regarding the American Rescue Plan funds. This infusion of resources represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make investments that will have a significant impact on families struggling with poverty. Indeed, by using ARP funds to deepen and extend support for low-income households, establish a revolving loan fund for small businesses historically excluded from access to credit, and create an opportunity for families to afford subscription to high-speed internet, will make long strides in taking down some of the persistent barriers to economic mobility. Importantly, we were pleased to find that our recommendations look to be in alignment with the interim guidance released by Treasury in early May. Namely, sections 2, 3, and 7 of the accompanying fact sheet offered insight on ways ARP funds may be leveraged as an anti-poverty tool, especially in qualified census tracts, or those tracts designated as low income by HUD. We look forward to continued partnership and dialogue on this. Please feel free to reach out to me or other coalition members with questions. Again, thank you very much for your consideration. Apologies for the technical hiccup in the beginning there, but thank you for the opportunity to share remarks.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Tamika Bright. Ms. Bright, can you hear us?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, if you would please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Tamika S. Bright. My address is 5333 Nessie Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tamika S. Bright, and I am the Parent University Coordinator for Cumberland County. Parent University was established in 2021 with communities and schools to provide parental resources needed for growth and empowerment. Monthly sessions will empower, inform, and inspire parents to expand wealth of knowledge within the child's academics and social life. Our mission is to establish a connection with parents to provide resources to help with academics, social, and economic status. And our goal is to engage multiple families with engaging workshops, resource fairs, and academic support. We're able to do this with the work and the help of our community partners in establishing relationships to offer workshops and provide parental incentives. We're currently at 5 elementary schools, which are Lloyd E. Allman, Benjamin Martin, D. Walker Spivey, Ferguson Easley, and Rockfish. Of those 5 schools, the Walker Spivey provides additional support with their student support specialists. Having a student support specialist at the schools where Parent University is established and will grow will be extremely beneficial to the program to help implement the parent workshops and provide additional support where needed. As a student support specialist at the Walker Spivey in 2019, I also coordinated parent workshops. Some of those workshops included financial literacy, sewing and couponing, healthy lifestyles, and entrepreneurship. Since the start of Parent University at the 5 schools in 2021, our workshops included a multi-organization resource fair, the importance of health and life insurance, and summer resources available to parents for their children. Our future workshops will include how to re-engage students and parents into in-person learning, introduction to STEM programs, 5 school performing and fine arts showcase, and parenting and leadership classes, just to name a few. Parent University is designed to empower, inform, and inspire all parents to encourage positive social and emotional learning growth with their children. And again, my name is Tamika S. Bright, and I appreciate the time and your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Bright. And our last speaker?
Yes, ma'am. Our final speaker is Ms. Mona. She's not available, so we have no further speakers.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that being said, I think it's time for us to go to 9.01. And my understanding is, do we have the mayor on the line?
Tracy to come up real quick as we're waiting for the mayor to come on. And if you could also bring your staff as well. I'd like for you to introduce all of your staff who are here, if you could. What's going around to the council at the moment, and I'll start the presentation once we get the mayor on, is you have coming around to you is a budget in brief, which is a communication tool that we hope to roll out to all of the members of the public and community groups in the very near future, telling them about the budget process and what's in the upcoming budget, which I hope that the council will adopt tonight. As well as at your seat, you'll see a strategic planning booklet that our SPA office has put together, but I'll step out of the way and allow both Tracy and Rebecca to introduce their staff members who are here.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So you know me, Tracy Broyles. We've seen you quite a bit at this time of year, and you've also on many occasions seen Kelly Oliveira, who's our Assistant Budget Director. Who you don't see very often is the budget analyst staff, and we have one of our 3 budget analysts with us this evening. This is Birgit Sexton, and she is one of our hardest working and valued employees. We also have in our office Gail Suttles Battle and Shayna Guy, who are our other budget analysts and not available to come with us this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor, I think, and council members. You know me, my name is Rebecca Jackson. I serve as your Chief of Staff, Chief Performance Officer, and I also recently served as your Strategy and Performance Analytics Director. And so with that, I will introduce 2 new staff members to the City of Fayetteville. At least one is brand new, and the other one is coming to us from our Human Resources Department. And this is Mr. Chris Lowry. He is your new Strategy and Performance Manager. You will get to know them very, very well over the next year as you prepare for your performance reports after you adopt your strategic plan and your strategic planning retreat. And this is Miss Angela Schweisman, and she is your senior analyst here in the Strategy and Performance Analytics office. So they are super excited to get started. They worked very hard at putting together some of your strategic planning documents that outline your plan over the next, well, your vision is the 10 years, and then the goals, and then your key performance indicators. So thank you so much for your commitment to the Strategy and Performance Office.
Thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I believe Mayor Colvin is on with us now. Sir, are you on?
Good evening. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councils, you'll recall the recommended budget was released to you on May 6th and formally presented at the May 10th meeting. The document has also been available for public review in the office of the city clerk and on the city's website. The required public hearing for the budget was conducted here on May 24th, and the council deliberated the recommended budget at 2 budget work sessions, one on May 20th and the other on May 27th. And council provided consensus on May 27th for changes to the recommended budget, which I will show you in just a moment. Take a great deal of pride in this, in that over the last 5 years, all of the improvements that we've been able to make in the city have largely been made without any tax rate increase. So we've been able to maintain a steady tax rate, and that continues in this upcoming fiscal year. The central business tax district rate is proposed to remain the same as well at 10 cents, and the Lake Valley Drive Municipal Service District is set to be abolished June 30th of this year as well. Major fees, the residential solid waste fee again remains the same. at $225 per single-family residential unit. The stormwater fee as well remains the same at $6 per month per equivalent residential unit, and there's no change to the transit fares. As I mentioned, on May 27th, we got consensus from council on a variety of initiatives. One was the addition of monies for a splash pad at Lake Rim Elementary, an increase of $100,000 for thoroughfare street lighting, adding $250,000 for workforce development. That initiative will be worked on if approved by council tonight, and we'll present that back to council sometime in the early fall. An additional $50,000 dedicated to the Fayetteville Cumberland Economic Development Corporation. An additional $50,000 for economic development marketing, and also the purchase of an additional illegal dump site camera. The total increase proposed for the general fund is $957,000. Funded by increased fund balance appropriation. Projected available fund balance, which includes the presumed adoption of the additional appropriations, is $24.2 million. As a percentage of the proposed FY22 budget, excluding the County Parks and Recreation District, you have $2.1 million beyond your 12% goal, and beyond your 10% policy minimum, you have an additional $5.8 million. So again, even with the additions that are shown on the earlier screen, the council is well poised if you adopt this budget, that we would have additional funds available for anything that might come up in the preceding 12 months. Proposed changes to the stormwater fund balance that were also discussed were an additional $500,000 to do dam stormwater storage assessments, $100,000 in stormwater grant assessments, and reduce the projected increase in fund balance from $1.7 million to $1.1 million to actually fund those initiatives as well. So looking at it, the budget proposed for adoption tonight is $240 million. That is a sizable amount of money, but it is also indicative of the city that we work for and the community that we serve. Internal Service Fund, financial plans, the Risk Management Fund, there are no changes that have been proposed to the funding for FY22. The budget ordinance includes $26 million for the financial plan for the Risk Management Fund. Fleet Maintenance Fund, no changes have been proposed. The budget ordinance includes $7.7 million for the financial plan for the Fleet Maintenance Fund, and the operating model for fleet maintenance to change from contracted services to services provided by city staff, as has been discussed with council. And the details of that, as we discussed earlier, are still being finalized, but will be in place before June 30. Parks and Recreation projects, we've increased, again, the funding for Lake Rim Splash Pad. Stormwater projects, you've added $600,000 for $500,000 for dam storage assessments for 27 dams, and for preliminary design for the Roses Lake Dam. Transportation projects, we've increased funding for thoroughfare street lighting from $50,000 to $150,000. And so the recommended action tonight is that we are asking council to adopt the following items: the fiscal year 2021-22 budget ordinance, the fiscal year 21-22 fee schedule, the fiscal year 2021 strategic plan, fiscal years 2022 through 2026 capital and technology improvement plans, capital project ordinance 2022-1 through 2022-12, capital project ordinance amendments 2022-1 through 2022-27, and special revenue fund project ordinance amendment 2022-1 as well. And that is also included in your agenda package. Happy to answer any questions that you might have, and also have, again, staff here if there are any questions that we need to delve in further.
Okay, I have Councilmember Wright and then Councilmember Ingram.
Yes, City Manager, just have a couple of questions. Can you give me a little bit more clarity, and maybe I heard it wrong. In the stormwater, can you go back to that stormwater piece where you were quoting projects, reduction in the project funding for stormwater?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that to me,
Yes,
that
sir.
last item?
Yes, sir. At the top two lines, we are taking $500,000 to do a stormwater storage assessments, and then we are doing a $100,000 stormwater grant assistance.
Right. Okay, so that's the reduction.
Yes, sir.
Of the project's increase. Okay. And you quoted about the 13.1%. Can you go back to that screen? Just trying to understand that. And at one time I heard it was 14. We were at 14. Is that true?
Well, sir, we're also proposing to take an additional $1 million, as you'll see on the screen at the top, from fund balance appropriation for those projects on the preceding page. But we will, as a percentage of proposed FY22 budget, with the amendments that were listed here, that would give us projected fund balance of 13.1%. Which again, your goal is 12%. Your policy minimum is 10.
Okay, and those fundings that's available, you quoted amount in case something comes up, what's available?
Yes, sir. It's so beyond the 12%, it would be $2.1 million, and beyond the 10%, it is $5.8 million.
Okay. 0.8. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Hare?
Yes, Doug, tell me the dollar amount that you said that would be after we do this. If it's approved tonight, the 240 mil overall budget, what was the 13.1% fund balance is, dollar-wise?
Yes, sir. It is beyond the 12%, it is $2.1 million, and beyond the 10%, it's 5.8.
What did you say, Johnny?
Yeah. The projected available fund balance is 24.2 million. And I'm sorry, you can't see my screen on your, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Johnny.
Councilmember Waddell?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. If it would please the council, I'd like to make a motion.
I am good with that, but Councilmember Ingram had hit her button before.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So I'd like to move that we adopt the proposed budget ordinance, strategic plan, and related documents as presented.
Second.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Waddell, a second by Councilmember Ingram, and I have discussion with Councilmember. So, forgive me. I have Dawkins, Councilmember Dawkins, and Councilmember Banks McLaughlin for just. Okay, Councilmember Dawkins.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. City Manager, so 13.1%, that's not 240 million, 24 million would not be 13 point. So where is this 13.1 coming from?
You may recall that we have separate funds. You have your general fund, and then you have like all funds, which include everything from transit and fleet. And Tracy is smiling because she told me so. That this might at some point cause some confusion. But if you look at your general fund, from which we talk about your fund balance, that I think is, got it right here. I think it's 100.
Well, I mean, 13 point something percent of 240 would
Yes,
be
sir.
just under $30 million. So,
Yeah,
or around 30
your
million.
general fund is approximately about $187 million, which again is about a 4.4% increase over what it was last year. So when we talk a look at all your funds across your budget across all your funds, we talked about stormwater, solid waste, risk management, and all of those, well, that's internal. That is what adds up to all of those funds that come to 240. So when we say all funds, that's what we mean. But for your general fund from which your fund balance is generated. it's about
187 million or so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
All right, I think I've gotten everyone. Is the mayor still on the line? Would he like to speak?
No, I'm good, Councilman.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you.
All right. All right, so let's call for the vote. We have a first by Councilmember Waddell and a second by Councilmember Ingram.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think this truly is a first because I think this is the first time I've ever voted affirmatively for a budget since I've been on council. So good job, City Manager.
Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, it's not showing on me. Mayor Colvin?
Green.
So I will say to you, I have been on council for 8 years, and this is the second time this has ever happened.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Green for me.
I'm sorry, and I knew that. Just to clarify, Councilmember Ingram, I can see her things on my diocese here, but you can't see them up there, but her vote was, I'm gonna let you say.
Green.
Great.
And Mayor Pro Tem, if I could as well, I want to say thank you on behalf of the staff. But I'd also like if you could join me in showing your appreciation for Tracy Broyles.
Yeah.
This is her last budget after 30 years of service with the city.
Great.
She doesn't know it yet, but I have to pass by her house to come to work, so in about 6 months, she'll see her back down here, I hope. So, but again, thank you all.
We thoroughly do appreciate you. Thank you. Our last item of business is appointment of boards and commissions. We have 4 applicants for the Historic Resources Commission. I would like to thank the Boards and Commission Committee, which consists of Councilmember Kinston, Councilmember Dawkins, Councilmember Davis, and the mayor, and I am the chair of it. So about 6 months ago, Councilmember Dawkins was correcting me on how to say people's names. So when you volunteer for something, you end up getting a job. So I am going to turn it over to Councilmember Dawkins. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and you have caused me to have to work extra hard in learning some of these names. So thankfully tonight, they are a lot easier to pronounce. So the committee met, the committee voted on a recommendation of the 4 names, which I'm getting ready to read. And then I'll be making the motion for these 4 names based on Council Lady Kinston, Councilmember Davis, Mayor Colvin, and Mayor Pro Tem Jensen. So if it pleases the council, I make a motion for the appointment of the following 4 applicants to the Historic Resources Commission: Mr. David Ballman, Mr. Tim Jackson, Mr. Michael Pennick, and Ms. Linda Deaton.
Can I get a second? Councilmember Wright, second. So I am calling for the vote. Councilmember Hare? Okay. We're going to get some maintenance done on all these lights.
And the mayor.
Oh, Mr.
Green.
Mayor?
Green.
Okay, thank you. Again, that is unanimous.
Green.
So can I get a motion to adjourn? All right.